I just really want to put the past behind me and understand what it's like to live in forgiveness.
Mm,
That's not really something that I see a lot,
yeah.
especially in my close relationships. So I
You
wanted
mean
to
in your
know,
family? In your family
yeah,
or your friends?
a little bit of both. I figured out that I wasn't attracting the right people.
Amazing how that happens, right?
Yeah,
We sometimes find ourselves, well, I'm going to take the sometimes out of it. And this is going to be part of your healing if I'm understanding where you're going with this. What you want to do is you want to be past the hurt, and you said you didn't have good coping skills. It's hard to talk to people, and then you want to be attracting a different kind of people, right?
yeah,
Well, first of all, that is fantastic. You haven't given up. You you got hope, and you know it can happen, right? You know that you can be healed. You see other people getting healed, and you know this can happen, right? Sounds like that's how you feel.
yes, thanks.
Yeah. So here's what's interesting. You know, when you said you attracting the wrong kind of people, you know, the way our brains are designed, we get patterned, right? I take my dog out for a walk, or when I used to, when I could walk. You go down the driveway, you get to the end of the driveway, she automatically starts to turn right. Automatically. Why? Because every time I take her out for a walk, I turn right. Okay, that's a pattern. God wired us to have patterns created in our head, and we have patterns of relating. And like I was saying too in the first part of the show, our patterns to relating are also in relation to internal relationships that we still carry with us. So if we had scary people and we haven't gotten healed from the scary people in our life, we tend to have patterns of being afraid and withdraw and not speak up or have to isolate or fight or something because the whole world still looks scary. We haven't been healed from that yet. But here's the thing, we are drawn to and we relate to the patterns or what is familiar. Does that make sense? Familiar.
Yes.
So why do we get drawn to certain kinds of people that are not good for us sometimes? Because that's familiar. It is a pattern. You know, somebody had their head was wired with somebody with high expectations on the other end that they could never please, and they're going to probably be drawn a lot of times to people with high expectations that they can never please, and they live out a people pleasing pattern forever. Okay, so that's the way it is, right? We do what's familiar. So how do we change it? You don't get rid of familiar, you use familiar. So what does that mean? I want you to get in a place where people relate to you in a good way and where they're very safe and you can open up and you can say, here's what, like I was saying on the beginning of the show, here's how I was hurt. And they say, tell me more. They don't say, well, that was your fault or you shouldn't be hurt by that or blah, blah, you know, I'll give you something to cry about. No, they don't do that. They say, that's awful. Tell me more. And then you talk about it. And a couple of things are happening there. You're being healed from the past, but you're also building a new familiar. And see, when we get with a good therapist and a good support group or a good therapy group or something, and that becomes familiar, this is how I'm used to being treated. Then we go out and you meet somebody and they're hurtful. You go, well, that doesn't feel good. And you're not attracted or attracting them anymore because you're saying that doesn't feel good because I know what good feels like now. Does that make sense?
Mhm. Yeah, it really does.
So it's not rocket science, it's just work. And so I want you to find a good counselor and I want you to find a really good group that practices healing ways. And it may be a structured one, like, you know, a good therapy group or something like Celebrate Recovery or, you know, a psychologist that has a good healing group or a church that has a good support group led by a good person. Sometimes there's, not so smart people doing that. But where you can, it's true. I wish it weren't, but it's true. And you go get healed with some good people, and that becomes familiar to you, and that's going to get better. And then the third thing I want you to do is this. You mentioned it. You remember what you said? Why you didn't talk to people? Remember what you said?
I was afraid of how they would treat me, you know?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. It's all because all that's in your head is scary figures, right? That's why we got to find the safe place. But somewhere along the line there, you said that you didn't have good skills, right?
oh, no, I didn't.
Yeah. Well, listen. Of course you didn't. Of course you didn't. Where were you going to learn those skills in a dysfunctional family? They weren't there. It's like if I'm a golfer and I grew up in a family nobody plays golf, how am I going to learn how to play golf unless I go down and find the teacher? So it is not your fault that you don't have the skills you need. But here's the good news: those skills are learnable. So that's going to be another part of your healing where you learn new skills. You learn to open up. You learn to have good boundaries. You learn to say no if somebody's mean to you. You learn to go the other way. You learn to say things I don't feel comfortable with that. I don't like that. And I'm not going to do it. You learn those skills. And that's the other thing I want you to do.
Okay, I can do that.
You can do it with help, right? Have you got a counselor now?
Oh, I hate to say it, but I got I got so depressed that I wasn't really functioning anymore. So I left my
Hmm.
old job, and I went back to move in with my family. Um, so I
Oh,
don't have that resource anymore. Yeah, I know it's like I shot myself in the foot.
well,
Um,
no, I
but
sometimes I get it. I'm not. You're not bad for that. You went the only place you know to go. But even, are you still living with your family?
yeah, for this time,
Are they still re-injuring you, or are they just kind of kooky and you stay away from them?
um, sometimes they still do hurtful things.
Do you have other people around you, a support system around you apart from your family?
Not really. Um,
Okay,
when I
well,
was growing
that's
up, I would try to tell my
you would want.
I would try to just tell neighbors or friends, but either friends would like distance themselves or
You know,
um you know like
they
um
weren't helpful, were they?
but I definitely now it's more just like just saying comments that aren't necessary more so I just have
Okay.
to keep my distance.
Well, here's what I want you to do. If you don't have any outside help, there's no resources or whatever, check out some of the sizable churches around you. You live in a big city?
Yeah, I just joined when I came to my parents. That's what I did do because
Okay.
I was able to do that.
I don't know what town you live in, but if there are, and the reason I say kind of sizable churches, and sometimes small churches, the pastor has time. A lot of times they don't, but sizable churches will have a pastoral counseling department or support groups or something. I want you to go to your church or several of them and ask for the care pastor and go tell them your story and say, I really need help. I'm hurting. I need some counseling or I need a support group or something. And maybe that can be the first step, but you can't probably find this. And I got to go to some other calls, unfortunately. But I'm going to leave you with this. You probably can't just find it on your own. You're depressed. I'd love for you to see a good psychologist or good psychiatrist, and a counselor could probably help arrange that, or just your doctor. Because if you're so depressed that you can't function, you may need some medicine too. So I want you to see the help, get the help you need, but it's not coming from your family. It sounds like. So go find a good pastor. They're great to talk to, or go to your doctor. but get some help and get started and get plugged in somewhere. And then also, I want you to stay on the line because I'm going to give you, I have a webinar called Restoring Our Brokenness. And I'm going to get Albie to get your information so we can give that to you. And also, any of the rest of you, you can find that. It's about close to 3 hours, I think, on healing from the kind of things that she's talking about. You can go to boundaries.me/restore to find that.